Hello, friends. Very good morning. So, today I bring a new topic for you, which is called your Oracle Acquired to Retire process. Okay, we normally say A2R. Okay, if you come across any ERP, you will have this process. Particularly when you say acquired to retire, what does this mean by? Let us understand. Try to decode this. It all relates to your fixed assets. Every manufacturing company, every industry, every service or sale industry or goods or service, whatever industry you can imagine in your mind. Every industry has their own assets. Okay, without asset, industry cannot run. A manufacturing company, any sector you take it, right, be it a finance industry, be it a marketing industry, or any industry, they'll have some kind of fixed assets in their offices, in their manufacturing plants, in their inventory, so everywhere. Okay, so try to figure it out how this entire process work acquired to retire. Okay, let us understand this concept first of all. Like in previous session, we have discussed about a record to report, order to cash, and procure to pay. Right. So these are basically, when you say these are business flows end to end, that starts. I mean, I can say it triggers with a certain functionality based upon the requirement of a business, and ends with the output of your work or output of a particular business process, right? So here I just figure it out what are the modules which will involve in this A2R acquire to retire process. Uh, the dominating module here will be the fixed assets one, where we create, maintain, and retire that asset. Okay, so particularly this is the core module of the fixed assets where you do almost 90% of the work. So apart from that, as since all the modules are interrelated means interconnected with each other, right? How the data flows and what are the elements that we normally take into account just to process, I mean, just to understand the overall process of this particular business scenario. Okay, so what do we do in accounts payable normally, right? Whenever we purchase any kind of, say for example, asset related item, office table you can say, for example, or office desk you can say, or laptop you can say, desktop you can say, or a probably a networking equipment, anything it could be, or a plant and machinery, or your anything it could be, furniture, fixtures, anything, whatever you want to purchase as part of your, that comes under fixed assets, you need to define it as per your companies act, right? So basically all those assets we procure, we normally purchase all these assets from the vendor, isn't it? So say for example, I'm purchasing from a vendor called ABC Supply, right? I purchase a office table. I'll have to make an invoice first of all in my accounts payable system. Okay, in the accounts payable system, once invoice has been processed, you have to provide some kind of as a clearing account. Then you have to run the mass addition program. Then particular that data or information, right, related to the fixed assets, so that gets translated from your accounts payable module to the fixed assets module. Okay, so this is how we normally process that accounts payable related informations particular to the fixed assets. There is another prospect to this A2R entire business process is that you may have PPM module, right? In PPM module normally we maintain projects related informations, isn't it? So project related information normally will have capital projects. Okay, so what does this mean by capital projects? I mean, you have created one project and you start incurring those expenses related to that project, the resource related cost to that particular project. Okay, so what happens is that you accumulate all this cost in a particular project, and It is more of like, we can say, say for example, CIP asset, that we say construction in progress projects, right? So basically the CIP asset is getting accumulated in the projects, and we every month we transfer that particular cost to the CIP assets. So say for example a project cost, right? If it for a duration of 1 year, right? We until that project gets end, right? We continue to incur those costs, and those costs are going to accumulated in the PPM module, and then finally we transfer it to the fixed assets. Every month and month wise we kept on adding those costs, right, on this CIP related projects. So whenever that project completes, so you feel okay, this CIP project now needs to be converted to the, or I mean, mainly a normal fixed assets, type. Then we normally convert that CIP asset into fixed assets. I mean, it's a proper fixed assets. We just treat them. Okay, we just convert in the system from a CIP to the capital asset. Okay, so this is normal, these two module you will see the movement of asset related probably those items, I could say that the fixed asset related all informations. And then whenever we create those fixed assets, right, what happens is that you'll have number of elements when you create a fixed asset, right? It, which employee you have been attached to this fixed asset, right? Then where is the location is very very important. You'll have location for each fixed assets. Every asset will have a proper location of. So those things I think you should have prior informations into the fixed assets module, and based on that actually you create a fixed assets. Okay, so say for example there is office table which I purchased, right? There should be an employee that you can attach that. Okay, and apart from that employee you should have a location. Say for example office building A, office building B, or office building C. So which office location you will be at, that location has to be inbuilt in the system, already in the setup in the system. So the user normally provide that particular locations while creating those assets actually. Okay, and there will be depreciation methods basically based upon what asset category. In Oracle we will have asset category based upon each different types of fixed assets. Normally we say for example IT equipment, you'll have office furniture, you will have you can say your office building, you can have your software licenses. So these are different category heads, right? You can create those asset categories, and you can have, say for example, depreciation method is going to be attached for each category the moment you create an asset. So basically, by default, those category follows the the depreciation method follows that particular category. Okay. So once we create an asset, we need to provide the date, place in service when we have acquired that asset. From that day, the depreciation will be calculated. So we have called a prorate rate convention, functionality. There is a in available in Oracle. So basically, on what kind of prorate depreciation you can plan for your asset, right? So that is one of those functionality. Based upon that you can calculate the depreciation or entire month or partially from the date place in service. How you want to take the calculation as per the product convention, the depreciation method. Okay, and apart from that you'll have your location, you'll have your employee, you'll have all sort of information. Then the basic thing is which a book that your asset follows. So normally you'll have every country will have a corporate book. If there is a requirement of a a secondary tax book that we normally creates as per the tax requirement, a depreciation calculation is different than your company's act, so you create a tax book particularly. So that's how your corporate book and tax book differs from each other in terms of the depreciation calculations for reporting purpose, right? So we create that asset into the corporate book, that followed by your ledger, which ledger it falls into the primary ledger. And this is how we create more of like the fixed assets. Now in fixed assets, in terms of maintenance, when you say maintenance, it could be a lot of features are available in terms of maintenance. When I say depreciation is just one of those, The second thing is that you can do any kind of adjustment with related to fixed assets. Okay, the category reclassification you can do. Suppose I want to change the category from office building to furniture fixtures, I can do so. System has the capacity, okay, to reclassify the category. Like this, you have number of features. If you want to change the employee who has attached that particular asset, right, to that employee, you can suppose one employee has left the organization and you want to say, for there is example I'll give you, a laptop, right, you have attached to employee and that employee has left the organization. So how will you do that? From the older employee to the new employee, so that is called adjustment. You'll have to reclassify those elements, right, from older employee to the new employee. You have to mention and provide the new employee name, so that the system gets updated with the new employee information. So basically, these are all reclassification of assets you can do. We have reinstatement. If a asset get retired, you can do the reinstatement also possible there. We have a functionality of reinstatement is also there. We have unplanned depreciation. What is unplanned depreciation as part of maintenance? See, depreciation is more of like you do every month retire. I'm every month depreciations. Say, for example, due to some wear and tear or in any unforeseen causes, right? You want to do more depreciation of that particular asset. So Oracle has provided unplanned depreciation. You can do unplanned depreciation based upon your business requirement. Okay, so that feasibility is also there. Okay, and finally, what you do is basically the accounting entry you transfer from the fixed assets to the GL. Apart from fixed assets, like all these accounts payable projects and a module, we transfer the journal entries to the GL. Okay, so this is just a overall picturization of how acquire to retire the process work. So you can have your additions. When I say additions, there are two types of addition. Normal is the manual additions, right? That has been defined in the detail and quick addition within the Oracle system. You can do so, that quick and detail additions, and you have a mass addition which is coming from your Oracle payables module, right? So that's how the birth of asset happens. We create the assets through the additions process. It could be your manual or it could be automatic, right? Then with the help of asset category, if you see, this is your asset category, all the asset book, right? This asset book will have number of categories. Under each category, you need to define your assets accordingly. Okay, this is how your asset maintenance works. I mean, it's more of like, as I mentioned, reclassification, those adjustment, unplanned depreciations, and a lot of things in the maintenance it comes, right? When we discuss in detail level, we'll discuss about the fixed assets module. You will have more idea on this. Okay, so here we depreciate that asset, and this is completely asset has got retired as per your depreciation method. It follows, say for example, 5 years, 10 years. So based upon that, every month it will get depreciate, and finally it will get retired. So these are the modules. Normally, Oracle payable module and project, the data get fed into the Oracle. You can have other legacy system, like in Oracle Cloud, we have FBDI seeds, right? We can fill in the data from there. We can bring in those data to the system. We have eight spreadsheets. We have FBDI and other legacy system. Also, we can do a integration through the mass additions program, FBDI process. We can integrate with any third party system normal to upload integrate that fixed assets information to the Oracle cloud system. Okay, so this is all about overall process of how you acquire to retire process work actually. Okay, so every month end we normally do the closing of the books, which is more of like fixed assets. And before that, we need to ensure all our accounting journal entries has to be processed, be it your addition, be it your depreciation, be it your adjustment, be it your reclassification, be it your unplanned depreciation, whatever may be, whatever causes, whatever the events it could be, right? So all these entries should be get processed in the fixed assets. Then you need to transfer it to the general ledger module in normal before closing of the books. So normal, what is the process is you run the depreciation. Once this depreciation run, you have to run the create accounting simultaneously. You can also run we can transfer the journal entries into the GL, and finally you go down to the general ledger module, provide your application name, which is fixed assets, and do a search. So the search, you can able to figure it out. Okay, these are the entries that is coming from your fixed assets module. You can verify and see all your fixed assets related entries that will fall into the general ledger module. Okay. So as I said, what are the main things you need to understand here is the asset book, which is very, very important. We need to create asset book. Second thing is your asset category. The third thing in the asset category, you will have some kind of mandatory accounting information like the depreciation accounts, accumulated depreciation account, and you'll have, asset cost, asset clearing accounts. All these accounts you need to, mention at the time of defining those categories, asset categories particularly. Okay. So once that is defined, you need to have, those pro-rate conventions. The depreciation method also be has to be defined. We need to have those flexible structure for the fixed assets. Basic three is the category, the location, third one the asset key. So all these three has to be there in the system. Once we did all these definitions, I think then you need to open the book and start processing your fixed assets process. So I've just given the overall idea of how a fixed assets module work. What does each business process in terms of, like, you can see all previous my videos, O2C, R2R, procure to pay. So this is more of like a quad to retire process. It's a mandatory process in every organizations. And thank you very much for watching my channel. I'll bring a new topic.